Deadrock is back, and we're starting off where we left off with Hadeen saving Yakuto. Sort of, kind of. It's really hard to tell because they're already dead in the underworld. I mean, if he fell into a void, then yeah, I guess that would be like death. But if he was just gonna fall and land and get crushed by a bunch of stones, then Yakuto would have just got back up because, they're dead. But point is, Hadeen saved him, and Yakuto's all excited that he's there. And not just saving Yakuto, he's also being extremely useful because he has power over ice. And so he just constructs a massive ice bridge that basically gets them halfway to the exit. We also get a image of like romance thing that Mashima likes to do every once in a while because Tasuma falls in love with Hadeen all of a sudden. Well, at first she has issues with him because he's ice, she's fire. And at first she thought he was a dog and she's a fox. But then he goes, no, I'm a wolf. I'm a descendant of Fenrir. And then because he's a wolf and she's a fox, she's like, oh, okay. And then she just decides she's in love with him now. Which is a very gray Juvia kind of moment, if we're being honest. She's not as clingy or stalkish as Juvia, though. She's a lot more subtle. We also get to see a fight between two gods, which is actually pretty cool. Lid comes out of nowhere and just pops Alfred across the battlefield. And for the first time ever, we actually get to see Alfred with damage. So yes, it is actually possible to damage Alfred. And if you can hurt him, you can kill him. It's clear that Alfred is stronger than Lid because every time Alfred hits Lid, he basically kills him. Like, the first punch he does, Lid basically explodes like a balloon, just turns into goo. But because he's the god of the underworld, the living and the dead, he has the power to undo his own death. And with that, he just keeps smashing into Alfred over and over again. The fight continues to intensify until a massive explosion happens, and that's when Yakuto and the others see it. And it looks like an island is blown up, but the explosion looks like it's dwarfing mountains, and so they might have actually destroyed a small country's worth of land in their fight. Obviously, since they all know how strong Alfred is, they're actually concerned if Lid can win this fight, or even survive. Hadeen says Lid should be fine. He's not going to be, but he says he should be fine because he knows how strong Lid is because Lid's been training him. Apparently, after being one-shotted by the vice principal and dying so easily, this humiliation could not be tolerated by Hadeen, and ever since then, he's been training non-stop until he can reincarnate, so he can actually rejoin Class F, but as a stronger warrior that can fight alongside them. Funny enough, Sasuna also wants to join Class F, and she actually starts to ask Saru if she can join the class, and he's like, that's not really up to me. And then right before they actually make it to the door, that is when they are then attacked by a bunch of Lid's followers. They're like these paper people like before, but these ones are human size, and they're black instead of white. It's unclear why they are fighting, and not just letting them through, because Lid is the one who let them through, but my assumption is it's probably just another trial of the underworld. You're supposed to get the keys, and then after you get the keys, you can then go to the gate. But I'm assuming this is supposed to be the last trial, and Lid can't just be there to just let them through, so they're forced to go through this trial. I mean, if Lid didn't have to fight against Alfred, then he probably could just guide them to the exit, but either way, they're now having to fight through these paper people. So while they're fighting through the paper people, that's when the fight between Lid and Alfred gets its conclusion. Like I said before, every time Alfred punches Lid, he basically explodes like a balloon, and then Lid just puts himself back together. Lid then does this really powerful attack that seems to do a ton of damage to Alfred. It seems to be enough to make him use his full power, because one of his eyes go black. We've only seen it done a few times, but this is when he's really going all out. And the reason why he has to go all out is because he has to create an attack that covers the entire underworld. You see, gods aren't immortal. Their power comes from their worship. So if their followers are all dead, then the god loses their godly power. And so, God then does an attack that covers the entirety of the underworld. It's a very targeted attack, because he's able to do that, and he hits every single one of the paper people in the entire underworld, which I don't know how big that is, but it must be at least it's the size of a planet. And he kills all of them. Like, he wipes out an entire race. And now with all of his worship taken away, Alfred is finally able to kill Lid. And with the god of the underworld dead, that is when the entirety of the world begins to just fade and crumble away, sink into the void of nothingness. And you know the really sick part about this is that Alfred gives the reason why he wants to do this, why he wants to kill Lid, why he wants to get rid of the underworld. And it's because he wants people to be desperate enough to worship him. Because if there's an underworld, that means there's a place after death, and he feels that means people won't worship him. But if people are now fearful of death, because all that awaits them is the void, then they have to cling to him no matter what to survive for as long as possible. This is a religion of nihilism. That's basically what Alfred is advocating for. It's extremely similar to Hinduism and Buddhism, which believe life is suffering and the best outcome is when you can reach Elvana, which allows you to just disappear into the void of nothingness, to reach nothingness. So yeah, it's a very nihilistic religion that Alfred wants, and he wants it because he just wants worshippers so he can increase his power. Anyway, with the death of Lid, the underworld is now crumbling and falling apart, and so the path in front of Yakuto and the others to the exit just crumbles to dust in front of them, and they're just waiting for them to meet their oblivion. Ain tries to create another ice bridge, but his powers aren't working. In fact, Yakuto's arm isn't working, and neither is Sasuna's fire, which means once the god of the underworld is dead, at least what I'm assuming, all powers in the underworld cease to be functional. So yeah, they are about to die. They are about to go into the nothingness of the void. But that is when their teacher steps up. Saru orders all of them to stand in front of him in a straight line, and there he takes his giant baton and just smacks them across the gorge to the other side. It's pretty clear to Yakuto and the others that he just sacrificed himself for them. He doesn't regret it. He smiles at the end. But Yakuto has to be dragged through the gates of reincarnation by the others, while Sara falls into the abyss. And that is where the chapter ends off. If you enjoy this video, subscribe, give it a thumbs up so you enjoy more Deadrock and other anime things. Thank you and have a great day.